In today's video, I will be showing you step-to-step method on how I made this beautiful, trendy, baggy cargo pants. One thing I love about these pants is how free and comfortable I feel wearing these pants. If this is what you want to learn how to cut and sew, then you need to watch this video till the end. Let's dive in. So I'll be using this Ankara fabric. It's high target. I'll be using this for the pants and then this for the pockets. I want to combine the two colors. So this one will go for the pockets and band. I'm using this for the waistband as well. And elastic. You can get any elastic of your choice. I have less than 1.5 here. And the measurements that you'll be needing. For the measurements, we'll be needing hip measurements. So you divide the hip measurement by 4 plus 1 inch. Okay, then the hip line, your waist to hip measurement, because we'll be marking the hip measurement, the trouser full length, and the crotch. Okay, to get the crotch measurement, ask the person to sit on a flat surface like a stool, and then measure from the natural waistline to the surface of the chair. That is where the buttocks ends. Okay, so let's start. So we'll be drafting directly on the fabric. We are not creating pattern for this pants. The first step to do is to measure out 2 inches here. Okay, for the pants to be free, you can mark down 1 inch, 1.5 or 3 inches, depending on how free you want the pants to be on the body. So the next thing to do is to mark the waist to full length, and I have the waist to full length measurement of 43, so I'll mark down 43 plus 2 inches hemming allowance. Next thing I'm going to do now is to mark the waist to hip line. Okay, so I have the waist to hip line of 8.5, so I'll mark it down like so. And I'll mark the crotch line. Okay, I have crotch measurement of 11.5, so I'll mark down 11.5 like so. Okay, sorry, I forgot to tell us that we'll be needing the thigh measurements. Okay, so I have thigh measurement of 25. I will add 2 inches to it to have 27 divided by 2. Okay, that is 13.5. So this will be my waistline. I'll come to the waistline and mark down the hip measurement, because we are going to be adding elastic to the waist of this pants. Okay, so I'll just mark down the hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1. So I'll mark it down here. That 1 inch is the allowance. Okay, is the joining allowance. So I'll come to the hip line and do the same thing. Remember that I am taking my measurement from this line because I measured out 2 inches for the pants to be free. Okay, if you want, you can add more, you can add 3, you can add 1 inch. If you don't want it to be too free on your body, you can just mark out 1 inch here, but mine, I want it to be free by 2 inches. So I'll come to the hip line and mark the hip measurements divided by 4 plus 1. Okay, so I'll come to the crotch line. Remember that this third line is the crotch line. So I'll come to the crotch line and mark the same thing, the hip measurements, and then I'll connect the points like so. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark the thigh measurement. So I have thigh of 25 plus 2 divided by 2. This is a standard. Okay, so I have 13.5. Remember, I'm taking my measurement from this 2 inches line, so I'll mark 13.5 down. All right, I'll take this measurement down to the hemline. The next thing I'm going to do now is to come to this crotch line, then I'll draw a straight line from the midpoint to divide the angle 90. This is an angle 90, so I want to get angle 45. You can use your curve to get the angle 45, or you can just draw out a straight line from this point, okay, like so. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark 0.5 at that line that I ruled out. So I'm going to be marking 0.5 there and create my crotch curve. You can mark 0.5 here. You can equally mark 0.75 depending on how deep you want your crotch curve to be. So I will connect. I'll go ahead and connect. Okay, the next thing we are going to do is to mark out the band. So we are adding 2 inches band to this pant. So I'm going to be marking 1.5 because I want to have half inch, that is 0.5 here, for the joining of the band to the pants. So because of that, I'm going to be marking 1.5. So I'm leaving half inch for the joining of the band to the pants. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut. Front block is ready now. We'll be cutting the back block using this front block. So get the front block. This is the front block that we just drafted, and place it on top of your fabric so that we can cut the back block. Okay, go ahead and mark 3.5, okay, to the front block. You measure from the front block and mark 3.5. Sorry, I had to join some pieces to my fabric to be able to get the 3.5 inches that I want to add to the back block. If you want to understand how I drafted this pant more, you can check out my video on how to draft a palazzo pant. I'll leave the link to the video in the description box. The only difference between this pant and a palazzo pant is that we marked out 2 inches for the pant to be free. Okay, the next thing we are going to do is to draw out that line that we marked. Okay, so on that point we are going to be marking 1.5 so that we can create the back crotch. So you connect using your curve like so. So this is what we have. So we are going to be cutting the crotch, the back crotch. Okay, and then the 3.5. So this is the front block, this is the front block and the back block. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do now is to cut the pockets. I'm going to be using this to cut the pockets. So you fold into 2 and fold again because we want to be cutting the 2 pockets together. I marked 7 inches by 11 inches for these pocket pieces. So what I'm going to do now is to get the front pants block, okay, and then I want to mark down the pocket. I'll place it on top of the pocket so that I can give the pocket a pocket curve. So I want to come in here by 2.5 and then 7 inches. So I'm going to be cutting now. Then I'll open up the pockets, okay, and then place this on top of the 2 pieces of the pockets by one side, okay, and give it the same shape that I have here. So this is what I have. I had to notch this part and this other part so that it can help me to get the midpoint of my pocket. You also have to indicate the wrong side of the pocket because you know this is high target. You can barely know the wrong and the right side. Then for the cargo pockets, it is 2 pieces for the right side and 1 for the left side. So the pocket is measured 10.5 by 8 inches. Okay, I also went ahead to cut a strap that I'm going to use and join from this part to this part. Okay, right, and the strap is measured about 2.5 inches. So I went ahead to fold the edges by 0.5. So the next thing I'm going to cut now is the cover for the pocket, and I want to use the green material for the cover of the pocket. So I'll fold by 2 and fold again. So this is measured 8 inches by 4. Okay, so I went ahead to fold it into 2 so that I can give it a curve. You can give the pocket cover any shape of your choice. So I went ahead to cut 4 pieces of this pocket cover. Okay, 2 for the cargo pocket and then 2 for the side pocket, because I want to place a pocket cover there as a design. So I went ahead to trim it off a little bit because I want it to fit into that space. Okay, so I'm going to be marking 1/2 inch at this midpoint of the pants and stitch from here to 2 inches. So I'm not going to be stitching to the end. I'm going to stitch from this point down to 2 inches marking. Okay, I'll also do the same thing for the back. I'll stitch the crotch area using 1/2 inch. Okay, so I've gone ahead to join the crotch curve of the front as well as the crotch curve of the back using that 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do now is to insert the pocket. Okay, so I will pin the pockets down. Remember, you are supposed to leave 1/2 inch space here that you will use and join it to the band. So I'll pin the pockets down like so. So I'll get the pocket. So this is the pocket cover. It's just for design, and this is the pocket. So I'll join one side first before we join the other side. So I'll keep one aside and place this one on top of the pants, okay, with the right sides facing each other like so. Okay, I'm going to go over to the sewing machine now and stitch from here up to here. Okay, so I have my pockets with the right sides facing each other. Okay, remember we pinned it down, you have to pin it down. So I'm going to stitch now with 1/2 inch. So this is what it looks like. So I want to stitch top stitch to this part so that it can lay flat. So after that, this is what I have. So what I'm going to do now is to bring them together like so to form the pocket. I'm going to stitch the pocket now. So when I come to this part, I'm going to be marking 1 inch. Okay, because I don't want to sew on top of my pocket, so I want to sew 1 inch out from the pocket. When you get to the end, you stop. So I'm going to trim the 1 inch out. Okay, so you have something like this. Are you seeing? I have to pin this part down as well. So when you flip to the right side, this is what you have. So I'll hold the top down. I'll also stitch this part so that the pocket can relax very well. Okay, so this is what I have. see my pockets. Can you see? You can go ahead and weave this part. Okay, I had to join the other pockets exactly the same way that I have done the first pocket. Okay, I had to increase the speed of this part to avoid this video getting too long. You can reduce the speed if you want. After joining the pockets to the front pants, this is what it looks like. So can you see? So what we are going to do now is to mark the side seam allowance and join. So we are going to be marking 1/2 inch at the waist and hip line because we added 1/2 inch here. Remember, we divided the hip measurements by 4 plus 1 inch. So that 1 inch, 1/2 inch was for the joining of this middle part, and then the 1/2 inch is for the side. Okay, so we are going to be marking 1/2 inch like so. Then we'll get the crotch measurement. I have crotch measurement of 11.5. Remember, we minus 1.5. So this is my crotch line. So I'm going to be marking 1 inch at the crotch line. Okay, downwards. I will be taking the 1 inch down. So I'll take the 1 inch down to the hemline. The main reason why we are taking 1 inch here is because we added 3.5 to the back. If you can remember, we added 3.5 inches to the back as the allowance. So we are going to be taking 1 inch away from the 3.5 that we are added, and we are going to be marking 1.5 here, okay, on this side. So we are going to be taking 1 inch by the side, and on the crotch area we are going to be taking 1.5. Then the 1 inch remaining is for ease of movement. I will connect this part, okay, like so. So I will also do the same for the back. I will mark 1 inch by the side and 1.5 by the crotch area. I went ahead to pin the back and the front pant pieces together so that I can join the sides. So I'll go over to the sewing machine now and stitch all the way from up here down to the hemline, okay, by the side. With this measurement that I've marked, I'll stitch the both sides. After stitching, I'm going to press the seam open and so that we can fix the pocket. Okay, so I'll also fix the pieces that I've cut out. I'll fix it all around the pocket. Okay, I'm going to join it like this together. All right, I'm going to leave this part open because I'll fold it in. Okay, then I'll also stitch the pocket cover and give it a good press. So this is what it looks like after stitching on the side markings. Okay, I have also gone ahead to open press it. I did not sew on top of my pockets here, okay, so that the pockets can relax very well. Okay, so I've gone ahead to give it a good press. Can you see? I've given it a good press. So what we are going to do next now is to fix the pockets. So this is the pocket. After joining the pieces to the pockets, make sure that the pocket cover and the pockets are equal. Okay, go ahead and indicate the midpoints of the pocket pieces and the pocket cover. After that, then you need to open up your pants and mark about 14 inches from the waistline where we are going to fix the pocket. Okay, then pin the pocket pieces on that line. Okay, the middle point should be on that joining line. This is a 3D pocket. Okay, so what this simply means is that we are not stitching on the yellow part of this pocket. We are going to be stitching on the green part of the pocket so that it can have a 3D effect. Okay, go ahead and also mark down where you fix the pocket cover, just 1 inch away from the main pocket. We will go over to the sewing machine now and run all the stitches. Remember to also top stitch on the pocket cover. This is what the pocket looks like after stitching it to the pants. Okay, can you see? So the next thing we are going to do now is to stitch this crotch area, this crotch part. Okay, remember that we marked 1.5 on that side, so we are going to pin each leg now and stitch them together. And then I'll mark 1.5, right, and stitch them together. Okay, so after stitching the pants legs with the 1.5 that I marked, I went ahead to hem the hemline. Okay, after stitching, you notice that this part is open because we did not stitch the crotch to the edge. Remember, we left about 2 inches. So go ahead and sew it from this front crotch to the back crotch to be able to close up this part. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is to fix the band. Okay, we are going to measure the waist. So I have 46, so that means our band is going to be 46. So this is the band. I'm gonna ahead to cut out the band. Remember the measurement was 46, so I added extra 1 inch to it for joining. Okay, so the band is about 5 inches in length. Mark out ½ inch from the top of this band. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the sewing machine now and run a stitch on the ½ inch marking that I have marked. Okay, I went ahead to run stitch both at the top and the other side in order to create a box where I'll fix in the elastic. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to cut out the elastic. So I have waist measurement of 28. My waist measurement is 28. So first you have to check how stretchy your elastic is. So I'm going to be taking away 3 inches from my waist measurement, and since I have waist measurement of 28, I'll be marking 25. Okay, so using the safety pin, I'll fix it into this box that I created. So I'll go over to my sewing machine now, and so I'll secure the edges and also fix the band to my pants. I've gone ahead to secure the edges of the band. I just had to stitch them together and turn. Okay, this is what it looks like. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to get my pants. This is the pants, and then join them together. I have joined them together, and I have also gone ahead to weave it. Okay, so this is what you will have. So what I'm going to do now is to secure the elastic. Okay, so I'm going to drag the elastic and run a straight stitch on it to be able to hold the elastic down. As you are stitching on top of the band to secure the elastic down, you have to drag the band backwards so that after stitching the band can still be stretchy. So after fixing the band, this is what it looks like. Can you see? So I'll go over to my ironing board now and give it a good press. So the pants is ready. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button if you have not subscribed. Turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified anytime I upload a new tutorial. See you in the next video.